Greetings, this is the Question GM. So I'm back with RPGADay Day 2, and the topic for today is change. And change is something, for someone like myself, who's been playing role-playing games for quite a bit, it becomes a natural constant in life. As they say, the only constant is change. And change is something that happens more often than not, or at least it's something that I maybe took some time to get used to the idea that change always happens and you can't stop change in a role-playing game. But maybe I've grown to appreciate change in role-playing games eventually. And change is not always a bad thing. There's definitely reasons to be resistant to change. If you go onto forums, you go onto Facebook, or you go onto social medias, you listen to people making edition wars, setting wars, property wars, system wars, that sort of thing. It's because there is this one side taking on the immovable force of not going for change, and the other, typically the other is the one that is embracing change. I can understand both sides of the arguments normally, because there's a reason why we love role-playing games the way that we love them. It's because we came into them in a certain way, and we don't want those reasons to be changed. Otherwise, we lose a very big part or a very big value of role-playing games in our lives, or the reasons why we play them. But at the same time, as systems and settings and people and play styles evolve, change will come, and change will come not only from the new people who are into the hobby, but as well as from the so-called old guards who eventually decide that they want to evolve their taste and their preferences with the games that they're playing. So I'm not resistant against change. In fact, as I said, I've grown to appreciate change, and it's something that I'm currently going through right now, in the sense that I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a good part of maybe 20 years. And I've just only started breaking out of my shell of changing my systems into non-D&D systems, only as late as last year, at least for a good part of last year. And that change is going to continue for the rest of my role-playing journey. And that's not a bad thing, because with change comes new possibilities, with change comes new ideas, with change comes new horizons. And what's the worst that could happen? If I don't like what I see in the future, I can just go back to all my old comforts. If Dungeons and Dragons still scratches that itch for me in a far future, after all the changes I've been through, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong of going back to things that you like the way they were, or embracing the things that have changed. And change is also quite interesting, that to see people being so hesitant about change, because if you've been in a good amount of sessions, or at least run a good amount of sessions, you will know that there's no plan that survives contact. Because of the constant change that can happen in the session, that is why a skill of a game master, a valued skill at least, is improvisation, is being adaptable to change. Maybe it's a different kind of change, in the sense that it's not about very major changes. It's about being able to accept very minor, small, minute changes that happens whether in the session. But it's a much more different problem, or different circumstance, or different context when you're talking about change. When it comes to like changing a system, or changing with a group of people that you're playing. And I've definitely gone through my share of those. Change allows for a learning experience. I myself personally feel that I'm not afraid of it. There will be a lot of failures when it comes to a learning experience, but to me that's still a win-win situation, in the sense that at least I learned something out of it, even though there's a lot of failures that comes with it, and I don't feel embarrassed by my failures. I'm quite happy to accept and admit them at least most of the time to myself. And all of that starts with change. This video is not going to not trying to convince you to change. I mean, or like I said, you like what you love for the reasons that you have, and that doesn't have to change. But at least consider or at least don't be tactical to the idea of change. You know, if people want to change, let them change. If people don't want to change, let them stay the way they are. It's just the way things can be done, you know, either way. I guess the natural response to change, you know, in most situations, even in life, is either you accept them or you don't. Pretty much comes into those two decision points. I guess for the takeaway for this video is just think about, do you want change? And if so, why? And there is really no there's no really right or wrong answer. There is an answer, but it's not right or wrong. It doesn't have to change. So this will be the Question GM signing off for day 2, and I'll see you in day 3.